With a 20-year reputation for clean business, Matt Glynn at Code Property Group is the first choice for real estate on the Sunshine Coast and surrounding areas. I've known Matt for a very long time from a personal level and professional level, and he is an excellent real estate agent. He's professional, he holds a high level of integrity, he presents incredibly well, and has a huge amount of knowledge when it comes to the real estate industry. So if you are in the market to buy, sell, or simply get a valuation and find out more about your current property, then give Matt a call on 0404 315 066 or matt.glynn, GLYNN at codepg.com. You won't be disappointed.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Paul's Body Engineering Podcast. I thought I'd do a special edition today because we're only a couple of days out from Easter, the Easter long weekend here in Australia, and I know for a fact that many people have mixed feelings about Easter for a number of reasons, but the main ones and what I want to focus on is obviously the indulgence of chocolate. Now, Easter is obviously, well, it's a religious holiday first and foremost, but second to that, in modern times, it's very much synonymous with Easter eggs, chocolate bunnies, Easter egg hunts, all those sorts of things. So it's very much focused around the kids. But as adults, many of us who have relationships with food that is not ideal, or we get caught up in social events and the pressures of social events like Christmas, like Easter, where there is a big emphasis on food, struggle to navigate this properly. So I wanted to talk about that today and just give people a bit of an idea on how they can firstly set up their Easter so it's a little bit more successful in terms of coming out the other side without having, eaten a huge amount of chocolate and putting on weight. But second to that, the psychological aspects of it. And when you start to understand why you're driven towards wanting to eat chocolate over these particular events or holidays, whatever you want to call them, you'd start to realise and make smarter decisions around it. So I want to start there because Easter's become a massive marketing ploy. It is very much something that the food manufacturers, the chocolate manufacturers, whether it be Cadbury or Nestle or Red Tulip or whoever, take full advantage of. So, we now see Easter eggs in the shopping centres, I think in February, even though Easter is in April. It's ridiculous, and it's the same as with Christmas. We see Christmas decorations in, November, if not earlier, because they take full advantage of our weaknesses. And when it's in our face in the shopping centre all the time, we tend to gravitate towards it. It's like that impulse purchase near the register. So with chocolate in particular and Easter eggs, think about the displays. They're bright colours, they're attractive colours, they're big fancy names, their displays are at the end of the aisles, in your face as soon as you walk into the supermarket. They're in strategic locations because that's done by design. It's done on purpose. They want you to see it, they want you to look at it, they want you to be driven towards it, and chances are you're going to grab one and put it in your shopping basket, irrespective of whether it's a Woolworths or Coles or a small retailer. This is the point of the exercise, is that they do extensive research to work out, firstly, the colours that draw the most attention, the names that draw the most attention, the location that draws the most traffic, and they make sure that these Easter eggs and Easter bunnies and everything else associated with it are put in strategic locations so that they sell the most products, therefore make the most money. That's what they do. They don't care, if you like the chocolate or not. They want to drive it home so that you grab it, whether you're actually planning to eat it or not. And how often have you grabbed something that you haven't necessarily gone in to buy? And that's why, when you go shopping, particularly for groceries, having a list is always advisable because you end up just buying extra stuff. If you're in a mood when you go shopping, you tend to buy based on that mood. If you're hungry, you tend to buy based on that. So you can be easily influenced, and there's no difference in terms of how they market to you. So the psychology behind it is very much targeted towards those that get drawn in by the colours, by the advertising, by the marketing, by the key buzzwords that they use. And this goes for all products. But obviously, because there is such an emphasis on Easter over this, this next week in particular, they take full advantage of that. They invest so much money. Did you know that the displays at the end of the aisle, particularly in a Woolworths or a Coles when the aisles are quite long, those displays at the end of the aisle actually cost the manufacturer of those products additional money to have them there, because it's obviously a key site. They have maps of their store, like a floor plan, and they have it all squared off where key sites are, where people walk by more and they get more traffic past, therefore visually see it more, therefore potentially buy more. So the manufacturers or the food producers pay more for those spots. So again, it all comes down to consumer behaviour and consumer mannerisms. And when it comes to Easter eggs, that's exactly what they do. If you walk through, like my local Coles at the moment, you walk through the security gates and straight away you're met with Easter egg signage. It's all over the windows before you even walk in, and then as soon as you head towards the first aisle, it's in special locations. There's massive signs, there's colours, there's pictures, there's words. It is in your face, and there is a huge amount of it too. That's the other thing, sheer volume, through repetition, through constant visual assessment, for lack of a better word. You will constantly see it, therefore you'll remember it more, because if you're constantly seeing it, it's like learning anything. The more you see something, the more it's going to be ingrained within your mind, in your subconscious. So that is very much the case. That is exactly how they prey on you. That is exactly how they deliver their message in terms of sales. And it works, because every year it is exactly the same, if not bigger and brighter and more of it. So that's the psychology behind it. And when you start to understand that, you start to then make smarter decisions. You go, hang on a second, I'm not going to get fooled for this crap. I understand what they're doing here. I'm not weak-minded. I'm not, succumbing to my primal urges. I simply want one Easter egg or one chocolate bunny for the long weekend, and that's what I intend to buy. Now, in terms of actually navigating the weekend, if you have a family of kids, obviously you're going to have Easter, you're going to have chocolate. Of course you are. That's what we do. It's Australian, it's cultural, it's very much one of those pivotal holidays in the calendar year. But as an adult, even a young adult, old adult, we tend to succumb to the chocolate, and we tend to eat way more than we had planned. And unfortunately with chocolate, particularly dairy milk style chocolate, it contains so much fat, so much of the macronutrient fat that, if you're tracking your calories, or if you're watching your weight, or if you're just trying to be mindful with your diet and things like that, it just blows it up big time because of that fat content. Yeah, it's got sugar in it too, but it's actually the fat that sets you off, because fat, again, is a very heavy calorie. So you need to go into the weekend with a strategy, and that's how I feel is best suited. Now, some people will listen to this and go, whatever, I don't need a strategy, I can just make smart decisions. But I guarantee you, in a social event, in a social setting where there's baskets or plates of Easter eggs on the table, where you've gone to obviously, connect with family or friends, or have a gathering or have a meal, you're going to go towards that. It's just going to be natural instinct that you lean towards, you grab one, then you get a taste for it. Guess what? You go back, you get another one. And on top of that, if it's a social gathering, you're probably going to have alcohol too. So all of a sudden, the calories climb up very, very quickly. And come Monday, come Tuesday, you're looking at yourself, you're feeling heavy, you're feeling puffy, you're feeling watery, you're feeling flat in terms of energy. Chances are your weight's gone up, and that's because of those situations. Again, the social pressure of being in that situation. So, go in with a strategy. If you've got control over the volume of Easter eggs you've got in your household, just make sure that there's enough for whoever gets them, and then that's it. If you want one or two, great, no problem. There's no judgment here. I'm just giving you ideas on how to navigate this a little bit better. If you go in with a plan, chances are the plan is going to be successful. Okay, talk to your partner about it as well. If you're both on the same page, then you can obviously support each other in that decision-making process. When it comes to Easter itself, and the other thing is, again, going back to my original point about the psychology of the chocolate in the supermarket, you don't have to buy it. That's the other thing. Don't fall victim to this clever marketing. Take a back seat. Be very, very smart in your approach. Go in with a list and no. My son and my daughter are going to get X amount of chocolates each, X amount of eggs each, and that's it. I'm not buying any additional. I'm not buying any more. I'm not buying a bag of hundreds and thousands covered ones or Oreo ones or whatever, because chances are you take it home with good intention. I'm only going to have a couple, and guess what? The whole bag will be eaten. It's almost humanly impossible not to go through with those little bags. It's like a packet of Tim Tams. When you open a packet of Tim Tams, you're going to eat the whole packet. Okay, let's be honest. You're not going to have one and then put it back. No one does that. So, and that's why they're made the way they're made. They're designed for that very reason. So it's really important that you go in with a strategy. Second to that, don't just rely on the chocolate as a means of a fuel source or a food source for that day. Have your breakfast, have your lunch, have your dinner, drink plenty of water. Make sure that you are satiated throughout the day. If you're satiated and you have your meals according to what your week would normally look like, chances are you're not going to think more about chocolate, because if you've got chocolate in the fridge or in the pantry, and it's there to be consumed, but you're not hungry, chances are you're not going to go and reach for it, right? But if you're hungry, if you've skipped a meal, if you've got caught up in activities or whatever, and next thing you know, it's mid-morning, you haven't had breakfast, you might go and look and think, okay, well, that's just easier. I'll just grab a couple of eggs. That happens all the time. You'd be so surprised, because we always lean towards convenience if time is of... if we don't have enough time on our side, we always lean towards convenience. That's why takeaway food and takeaway outlets and Uber Eats always do so well, particularly around weekends. Now, we've got a long weekend coming up whereby people don't have as much structure because they're not working. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to drink more. They're going to eat more. They're going to buy more takeaway. They're going to have more meals out simply because of that downtime. There's less structure. So Easter eggs are no different. So if you've got them sitting in your pantry for Sunday, or if they're there because you've bought extras, either get rid of them yes, it sounds drastic, but this is something that can be done to manage the weekend. And you get to Monday, you get to Tuesday, and you will be actually thanking yourself and going, oh my God, I'm glad I did that, because chances are I would have felt like crap and I'd have to work this indulgence off for the next week, because it's not a 24-hour turnaround. You can't just burn through those calories in 24 hours. It's probably going to take the next week to get your weight back under control, remove the fluid, and then start working through the additional body fat you may have put on. So have control over the situation. Get rid of them if they're already there. If not, make sure that you're satiated throughout the day. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Make sure you're hydrated. And just eat, to contentment. Eat sensibly. Don't eat like a dickhead. So many people do. And same thing around Christmas and Christmas Day. They eat like a dickhead. You don't have to. Okay? You don't have to eat like a dickhead. You don't have to fall victim to the clever marketing, buy all these eggs and then consume them because you bought them. Yeah, sure, it's going to be a waste of money if you throw them out, but what's better? Feeling really awesome about yourself on Monday or Tuesday, or feeling like crap because you've eaten so much chocolate that you feel sick afterwards and then have to carry that for 24 hours? Simple decision in my mind. But again, I'm not here to judge, because people will transition through Easter on their own accord, in their own way, and navigate it. But this is for those that feel a little bit vulnerable. They're a little bit fearful of how this weekend will pan out. They might have several social outings to attend to. They might have a couple of picnics. They might be catching up with family on the Sunday. There may be various events that they're going to where chocolate will be prevalent, and they need to come up with a strategy or just have ideas on how to manage that better. If you're going somewhere else, and chocolate's going to be there, sure, take some along if it's going to be gift giving, if you're going to exchange gifts, or take some for the children that may be there, but don't take some for yourself. Okay, firstly, that's step number one. Step number two is make sure that you're well hydrated before you go. Make sure you continue to hydrate while you're there. And, if there's a meal provider or snacks provider, make the sensible choices. Because once you start eating chocolate under those circumstances and you're easily distracted with other activities going on or other conversation, you'll just gravitate towards another one and another one and another one. Next thing you know, you're 6 to 10 deep in terms of little eggs or larger eggs or small solid eggs, without even realizing it, and then regret sits in. Or you go down the other path and just take on the fuck it approach and go, fuck it, I'll worry about it tomorrow or Monday, and you just keep going. And then that's where a lot of people really come unstuck. And for weeks and weeks and weeks, if you have been someone who has been really litigious with your approach, you've been dieting, or you've just been maintaining, or you've been really good with your nutrition, 2 days of uncontrolled eating, particularly something that's fat heavy like chocolate, can undo a lot of that work. It really can. And then what's going to happen is you're going to get down on yourself. You're going to feel sorry for yourself. You're going to kick stones, and you won't know how to come out of it, or you realise you've probably set yourself back another week or so. So going in with a strategy, coming out the other side is really going to control the situation. It's going to set you up for success. But remember the point of these outings. It's to connect with family. It's to connect with friends. It's to have a conversation. It's to have an experience. The food is just a side product of it. Think about what Easter represents. I said it off the top. It's a religious holiday. Okay, I'm not too sure the history as to why chocolate has become so prevalent around it. Obviously, there is a history to it, but big food manufacturers have jumped on the back of that and turned it into something that it didn't need to be. And now that's what it's based upon. So we're actually celebrating a holiday that was originally part of, a religious time. And now we're thinking of it as a chocolate time, an Easter egg time. All these extra things have been added on. So, and once you start to understand that, you start to make smarter decisions. You really do. When you break it down and understand why things occur and why things are happening and why you make decisions, it really does pave a clearer picture in terms of your decision making, what you can do, what you can't do, and smarter decisions come off the back of that. So look, I think I've wrapped everything up here. I just wanted to give people an insight into my way of thinking when it comes to Easter. Am I going to eat chocolates over the break? Sure, I will, absolutely. But I'm not going to overindulge. I'm not a big chocolate guy anyway, but at the same time, I'm not going to eat it just because it's there. I'm going to make smarter decisions in that. And I want to make sure that I come back from my Easter long weekend in a good position to tackle the rest of the year, but also, head into winter in a strong position so I come out the other side in summer in even better position. And that's how I want to see things. So I'm going to go in with a strategy. I'm going to go in with smart plans. I'm going to go in with support. And I'm going to make smart, strong decisions. It's as simple as that. All right, I'll finish up there. Thank you once again. If anyone has any questions about that or want to dive deeper into it, always DM me. I'm always available. But I want to thank you for your time once again. I want to thank you for those that continually listen to these podcasts. I want to thank Matt Glynn Property for his continued sponsorship of this podcast as well. Please jump on his Instagram or his website for further information there. If you're interested in any of my coaching services, please jump on my website, paulsbodyengineering.com. Alternatively, DM me or jump on the link in my bio for all the information regarding my membership, regarding my coaching services, regarding my business coaching services, etc. So thank you once again. And as I say to every client, every single day, have a great day. Are you looking to shed a few kilos, change your composition, improve your relationship with food, increase your strength, or simply just have a better accountability level? Then maybe coaching is for you. I now offer online coaching in a number of capacities, from week to week, fortnightly, monthly, and of course nutrition only coaching. So if you are interested or want to know more, simply jump on paulsbodyengineering.com or simply send me a DM.